Can someone confirm if my screen is visible? Yes, no, yes, no. Am I audible? Please check your audio and video settings. Okay then. So let's do a quick recap about the. Okay. Thank you everyone. So let's do a quick recap about yesterday's session. So yesterday we were discussing about why Java is high in performance. This one, high performance, right? So buzzwords, Java buzzwords. And I mean, if you get an interview question, the question could be like, why Java is high in performance? Okay. So when the performance is questioned, you should say the performance is high in Java just because uses hotspot JVM. The follow-up question: what is hotspot JVM? Right. So the JVM which has JIT compiler is called as hotspot JVM. JIT stands for, it's an acronym for just-in-time compiler. Right. So actually these three lines are sufficient enough to describe about the high performance. But what is this hotspot JVM and what is this JIT compiler? What is its purpose? That understanding we have understood in the yesterday's class, right? For example, let's say that we have two classes. I mean, we have one class. Inside this one class, there are two methods, right? So there is one user-defined method. The name of this user-defined method is method one. So strictly speaking, don't worry about what is class, what is method. We will understand that in the future topics. Our understanding is limited to what is why it is high in performance, right? Just try to concentrate here, pay some close attention. So there is a name method called method one, and this is called user defined method, and there is a main method, predefined method. The execution always starts from main method. We have known all these things so far. The execution always starts from main method, right? And from the main method you keep calling method one, so sequentially many number of times, right? Overall we have been calling the method one for 5 times, right? So the moment the method one is called, the control gets transferred to the method one, and let us say that there are 10,000 instructions are there inside the method one. 10,000 instructions, not one or two, 10,000 instructions, right? So the JVM has to go through each and every instruction, and it has to perform 3 operations. What are they? Read, interpret, and execute. Read, interpret, and for each and every line, the read operation, the interpret operation, and the execute operation is mandatory, right? And for 10,000 instructions, 10,000 times it has to go through read, interpret, and execute operation, right? Again the method one is called for the second time. So repetition, again the same things the JVM is going to go through. Third time, the same things the JVM is going to go through, right? And again, if it is called for the fourth time, what happens this time is, okay, the JVM is going to count the number of times the same method is being called over and over again. So method one is being called over and over again. It starts counting count number one, count number two, and count number three. There is a point called threshold point, right? The threshold point will be decided by the JVM according to the operating system. It varies from one operating system to another operating system. Sometimes it could be 4, sometimes it could be 2 itself, right? So once the threshold point is reached, the JIT compiler will, what it is going to do, the JIT compiler converts the total code, converts the 10,000 instructions into a single native code. Could be 101010. The moment next time it is called, method one is called, this time it could avoid the read, interpret, and execute operation. Directly the native code, through the native code, the output gets executed. As simple as that. So if you don't understand this, if you repeat the yesterday's video, you will get the complete picture, right? It's just like buying a Maggie. Okay, I am a bachelor. Okay, I am usually I visit the grocery store. The name of the grocery store is Shakti store. For the first time I'm visiting this grocery store, okay, I purchase Maggie. The salesman would ask me, what do you want? I say Maggie. The next day again I go, salesman would ask me, what do you want? Maggie I want. Third day, Maggie I want. And the fourth day, without even asking, the salesman will get to know that this person is going to purchase the Maggie only. So he gives the Maggie. So the salesman has understood the pattern. So what kind of pattern you have understood? this person is going to purchase Maggie itself. Is 100% so. Same thing happens here. Okay. Here the JVM identifies a pattern, then the method is being called over and over again for the consecutive number of times, right? And it decides a point where there will be a saturation point, which is also called as a threshold point. The moment it reaches the threshold point, a JIT compiler comes into the picture. It converts the total code into the native code so that execution is going to be smooth, and it is also going to avoid what read, interpret, and execute operation for all the instructions. Right. So this is why it is high in performance. Right? These 3 points are sufficient enough to answer in the interview room. Okay? These are first just for our understanding purpose. The broad illustration has been given to you guys. Okay. So next thing is what? Next thing, why it is dynamic in nature. Okay. Memory will be allocated on demand, or you can say that dot class files will be loaded on demand. Right. So when I say dot class file, so this is not the right example. So I have also introduced about the static blocks, the yesterday session. Right. So if you have two classes here, in this case we have class A and we also have class B. Right. So each and every class has a static block. What is a static block? Any block which has a static keyword is called a static block. Right. So the moment you start compiling, okay, how many dot class file are going to get generated? In this case, two dot class files. If your program has two classes, then two dot class files are going to get generated, right? Then you are going to give a command. You are going to load the dot class file, which is the main method. Okay, so this is the command to load the dot class file. The moment this dot class file is loaded, a dot class file is loaded, the static content will get executed. Then main thread will get created. Main thread gets access to the main method. All instructions inside the main method will get executed. Right. So the first instruction is a very straightforward. Testing will be displayed in the console. Before that, hey, this is my static block of class A. Then testing will get displayed in the console because that is an instruction. The third one is the object creation process, right, for the class B. So to create an object for the class B, this time B dot class file needs to get loaded inside the JVM. Right. So the moment the B dot class file is getting loaded inside the JVM, the static content of the B dot class file will get executed. So the dot class files are getting loaded on demand. That is the reason why what it is called as what? One minute. That is why it is called as what? The dynamic programming language. Dot class files will be loaded on demand. Okay, you can repeat my yesterday's videos if you have any doubts. Right? What are static blocks? These are the blocks recognized and executed at the time of loading the bytecode of the dot class file to the memory. Static blocks are executed first before the main method. So we have seen this yesterday in detail. So today I'm just giving you a quick recap. Okay? Today the remaining topic is what? We have completed each and every buzzword in detail. Okay, today we are going to see why Java is distributed, why it is distributed, and why it is compiled and interpreted programming language. Okay. I need you all to pay some close attention for this distributed, why it is distributed programming language, why it is distributed. Distributed programming language. Okay. If any application functionalities are distributed to multiple systems, it is called as what? It is called as the distributed application. What does it really mean? What does it really mean? If any application functionalities are distributed to multiple systems, it is called as distributed application. Let me take you the real-time example or some kind of analogy. The same analogy, if you want to see the university results, right? So this is the person one, okay, and he is affiliated with Anna University, which is popular in Chennai. Okay, so that is the results are announced. Okay, the results are announced. There are three set of friends in the bachelor room or in the hostel. Okay, so everyone wants to see the results. Everyone wants to do what? Everyone wants to see the results. And the results are, the Anna University application has been distributed into many servers. I need to focus here. Many servers. There is a server one. Okay, this server one is mean to do what? This server one is mean to give the responses for the results. Okay? Server one is designed internally in such a way that this is going to take care of giving the result announcement. Okay, if you send a request to find the results, I mean to check your examination results by using the registration number, the server one gets activated and it will give the response saying whether you are passed or you are failed in the exam. Okay, there is also a server 2. Okay, there is also a server. Focus here, guys. Focus here. There are 3 servers. Server 3. Right, so there are also 3 machines. Okay, between the servers and between these 3 machines, okay, there is something called a load balancer. Focus here. There is something called as what? A load balancer. What is a load balancer? I will explain. Yes, server 1, server 2 and server 3. Let us say that you are visiting the Anna University website. It's a popular university. Right? So what are the services that the Anna University website is going to provide? What are the major services? Okay, basically any university is going to provide the admission services. First of all, you can take admissions by using the websites. The services that are being offered by the Anna University website is what? Admission services. First of all, basic thing. Okay, what are the other basic services? Right, examination services. Examination, you can apply for the re-examination, right? You can apply for the exam, you can apply for the re-evaluation. Okay, these are one of the major services. And distance education services can also say. Okay, and also results, publishing results for the exams that you have taken. For this, I mean, publishing semester exam results which you have taken. These are the 4 major services that each and every university is going to offer, right? Anna University is offering 4 major services. Let us say that Anna University has announced the results today. Today is what day? 15th of December. It has announced the results. Okay, majorly many students are going to check for the results. Let us say that this is student A and this is student B and this is student C. Okay, student A is trying to check for the results. His intention is to find the results. He will enter the Anna University URL. Okay, inside the URL he will just enter the register number, and once he enter the register number, the request will be sent. Okay, this time the request will not be sent to the servers directly. Instead of that, the request will be sent to the load balancer. Okay, this load balancer will check what kind of request that the student is placing. The student is placing, the student is looking for the examination results, it will reroute to the respective server. Okay, the request will be rerouted to the respective server. The server one, assume that the server one is taking care of publishing results. Okay. Right? The person 2 is not even checking the results anymore. He is trying to look for other services, which are what? The examination services, right? Examination services. So again a request will be sent. There will be a dedicated server to address the request for examination services. Okay, so that will, let us say that server 2 is taking care of what? Server 2 is taking care of examination services. Examination services like re-evaluation, reapplying for the exam, reapplying the arrears exam. Okay, these things are taken care of by server 2. Okay, the request will be routed to the respective server depending upon the nature of the request. Let us say that the server 3, okay, there is another person, okay, he just wants to see, just wants to open the website and is looking for any distance education courses. Okay, a request will be sent and there will be a dedicated server for that. Okay, and is going to do what? The request will be redirected to that dedicated server. So what is the idea here is, when you see, so when I'm talking about the load balancer here, I'm talking about load balancer here, right? The Anna University functionality, the Anna University website functionality has been distributed into many servers. Okay, I have just for the easy understanding purpose, I have taken 3 servers as an example. I have taken 3 servers as an example. Each and every server is giving some services. Each and every server is giving some services. But what is the job of the load balancer? Okay, don't you think that every person who is going to launch the Anna University website, every person who is launching the Anna University website as their own purpose? Okay, majority of them on the results day, out of 100, out of 1000 requests, 90% of the request, 90% means 900 requests, 900 requests will be, as to be, or would be, or what I can say is, will be primarily to check the results. Yes or no? On the results announcement day, okay, if there are 1000 requests, okay, if the 1000 students are launching the unanswered website, I can say that 900 requests should be for the server one, which is publishing the results. 900 students will be looking for the results. They would place the request to check for the results, which is going to take care of that. This load balancer is going to ensure that the request is getting directed to the right server, because it is balancing the node. Because the remaining 100 requests are going to be what? A miscellaneous request. Okay, the request that is completely rudimentary, means that is not even the priority request, low priority request. Yes or no? Remaining 100 requests are low priority requests. The high priority request will be routed to the right server. The load balancer is going to take care of that, because the server one will be loaded with heavy traffic, because on the results announcement day, each and every student is, they are going to check for the results. So let us say that this system is being used by 900 students to check for the results. Okay, the load balancer will take care of that, will direct the right request to the right server. Right, how this is happening? Because the functionality has been divided. Okay, the application functionality has been divided into, or distributed into many servers. Okay, which can do that? Java language can do that. You can use the Java language to distribute the application functionalities in such a way that each and every server which has the Java programming language is going to address the specific request and give the valid response. That's why Java language is called as what? That's why Java language is called as what? The distributed programming language. Are you able to follow? Very simple. Why it is called a distributed programming language? Because every application in Java, every functionality has been distributed into many what we call it as a logic has been distributed into many servers. Okay, so that each and every server has a own responsibility to address the specific request. Are you able to follow? Okay, because of this, what is happening? Because of this, there is load balancing. Okay, you can balance the load according to the request, right? You can filter the what kind of requests that the students are expecting. If majority of the requests are for the particular one, that request will be routed to the right server. Okay, so that all the requests, if you transfer all the requests to the server one, the server one, there will be a failover for the server one, right? Server one will be down even if you pass the remaining 100 request, okay, which is not part of the results fetching, right? Even if you pass the remaining request, the server one is going to get down, right? Due to this distributed logic, what happens? Only the right request will be transferred to the server, and the less priority request will be transferred to the remaining servers. Okay, so that the website is going to be healthy and website is going to be safe, right? Because of the load balancing purpose, because of this load balancing purpose, because of this load balancer, because of this load balancer, okay, there will be less chances of failover. Less chances of what? Failover. Because Java is what? The robust programming language. Even robust is also coming into the picture. Are you able to follow? Very simple. The application logic is distributed into multiple machines or multiple servers. Okay, Java can do that. You can keep a specific logic in server 1, in other specific logic in server 2, and you can use even 10 to 20 servers depending upon the requirements. Okay, so that the load balancer will take care. It is going to route the right request to the right servers. So if this is happening, what is the advantage that one is going to get? Advantage is there will be a chances of less failover. There will be no chances of server is getting down because multiple servers are there to deal with the request. Type S in the chat box if you have understood so far. Video is not visible. Try relaunching your Teams app once again, Revati. Will work. For everyone, it is visible. Video is visible for everyone. Only for Revati. I think because of internet issues, Revati. Yeah, okay. Oh, good. Good. Okay, very simple. If you just keep this in the mind in the interview, it is more than enough. Any application functionalities are distributed to multiple systems. It is called as distributed application. Okay. Java is so the distributed programming language. If the interviewer is taking you more information, you can give this as an example. Language. When the application is distributed, the chances of failover will be very less. Right? So we have successfully completed why it is distributed for programming language. The last one, why it is compiled and interpreted programming language. See guys, in the real time, see this compiled and interpreted, it is a topic of discussion always. Compiled and interpreted, it is always a what? It is always a topic of discussions in the programming language. Because some programming languages, okay, some programming languages like C and C++, so they are only compiled programming language. Some programming language like Python, so Python language is found to be what? Interpreted programming language. Okay, but Java is both compiled and interpreted. Why it is called both compiled and interpreted? First of all, we need to understand that. Why it is both compiled and interpreted. To understand this, let me take a piece of Java code. Okay, I want to take a piece of Java code. The interviewer will ask you a question like, is Java compiled or is Java interpreted? Okay, you should be in a position to answer him that Java is both compiled and interpreted programming language. Okay, then the follow-up question would be what? Why it is compiled and why it is interpreted? Okay, to answer that, please follow this explanation. Please pay some close attention here. Okay, let me take a piece of Java code. Right, so I just want to take the name of the Java, simple Java code, a simple pseudo code, not a pseudo code. I am just taking one class A. So this class A is in the notepad. I have written this program in the notepad. Okay, what is the first thing that I need to ensure whenever I am writing a class inside a notepad? I need to save this. How this can be saved? By using .java extension. So when I say .java, it means my machine will understand, oh, this person has written a Java code. Okay, you are giving an intimation to your operating system that it is not an ordinary English language, it is a Java language. So .java extension. So what should be the name? What is the rule that how this the Java file has to be saved? What is the name of the class? Class name is A. So it should be a.java. Right? So this is called as what? This is usually called as the source code. Right? You call this as what? You call this as a source code. After writing the program, Java program, okay, you need to perform the compilation. Right? You need to perform what? To perform the compilation. To perform the compilation, compiler will come into the picture. Right? What is the job of the compiler? The moment you activate the compiler, okay, how you can activate the compiler? There is a command called javac. Javac means a Java compiler base. Okay, which file you want to compile? A.java. So this is the command to activate the compiler and perform the compilation. Javac means Java compiler. So compile my Java file, which is what? A.java. That should be a space. Okay, the moment you give this, the compiler gets activated. After the activation, the compiler will check each and every piece of code. Okay, if it finds the code has no errors, if it finds the code is healthy, if it finds this code is syntactically correct, okay, what it is going to do? Compiler will generate a file called dot class file. What you can see inside the dot class file, you would see something like, a kind of language which you will never understand and which the system will also never understand. Okay? Sequence of characters, symbols, everything. Okay? You cannot even decipher what does it really mean. A kind of language. Okay, this language is called as what? This file is called as dot class file. Literally, dot Java file is becoming dot class file. What dot class file? A dot class file. Okay, so this code is also called as what? The byte code you can call, or you can also call this what? Intermediate code. Intermediate. So, majorly this what this compiler is doing. Compiler is doing the majority of the checks, majority of the syntactical checks. Okay. All the errors, most of the 95% of the errors will be identified by this compiler and addressed by the compiler itself. And also the next thing is, after this compilation, a dot class file is getting generated. So this dot class file is just like, see, for example, if I want to talk to the computer, okay, whatever I speak, okay, if I'm speaking something to the computer, like muchi muchi muchi, okay, whatever I speak, my computer will understand like this. I talk to my computer, whatever I write, computer will understand, will like munchi 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 munchi, some kind of a garbage thing. Okay, it won't understand. So do you understand Chinese? If you don't understand one language, you hear some kind of, you just hear the sound, you don't even decipher the words also. Right? Likewise, if you want to convey something to the computer, okay, whatever the language that you are using, that should be conveyed to the computer. If you are using Java language, this language, Java language is high level, understandable by human beings. Okay, you can read this easily, but you need to do what? You need to convert this language in such a way that your machine is also understanding this language. Okay, first, so you are using compiler to achieve the first level of conversion. Okay, this conversion is like what? This conversion is like, it is going to generate an intermediate code by ensuring that all the errors are addressed here. I mean, it will ensure that there are no errors in your file, and then it is going to produce the dot class file. Okay. After producing the dot class file, you are giving this job to the JVM. JVM is coming into the picture. JVM is what? Java Virtual Machine. Okay. You submit this dot class file to the JVM. Okay, you give this dot class file to the JVM, right? What JVM will do? JVM will create a main thread. Okay, before even creating the main thread, JVM is going to interpret this dot class file. Interpretation will happen. Interpretation will happen. So what do you mean by interpretation? What does it mean to say something is something is interpreted? Okay, so as I have said that this code is neither understandable by human beings nor understandable by machine. Okay, this JVM is going to do what? This JVM is going to convert this dot class file to the machine understandable language. Okay, JVM is a component. JVM is a component. It takes the dot class file. It is going to convert this dot class file to a code, to a language that is understandable by machine. Machine understands what? Machine understands what? Zeros and ones. Combination of zeros and ones. Whatever you give, machine will understand only zeros and ones. On and off. After this conversion, each and every line will be interpreted again to give the output. Okay. Machine will read each and every line, which is in the form of zeros and ones. You don't understand this, but machine will understand. Okay. And if machine will understand, and it is going to give what? It is going to give the required output. So this concept is called as for interpretation. Interpreted. Okay, let me repeat this. This is the human understandable code. Okay, human high level language can be understood by human. Okay, this is what? This is the intermediate code. Okay, it is neither high level not low level. Okay, it is not understandable by you as well as it is not understandable by the machine. You both don't understand this, but still you give this code to the JVM. JVM will do what? JVM will convert this dot class file into the native code. This is called as what? The native code. Native means what? The machine understandable language. Native code. Okay. After this conversion, we have been discussing, main thread gets created. Main thread gets access to the main method. Usually the main thread gets access to the main method, not here. Okay. So somewhere it will identifies the converted main method inside this machine code. Able to follow? Somewhere it will identify. Machine understands, okay, there is a main method. This 0, 0, 1, 0 is representing a main method, or this 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, this part is representing the main method. Okay, machine is going to understand somewhere in this native code that there is a main method in this native code. It has to be executed. Okay, for our understanding, okay, I am just saying that it is coming to the main method. Okay, literally in the somewhere machine has the capability to understand somewhere here there is a main method. Okay, it is going to execute each and every instructions inside the main method. Machine can understand that understanding we can monitor in the class. Okay, you're able to follow. We can monitor that understanding in the class. We can just assume that machine is doing this, right? Are able to follow? Right? Then each and every line inside the main method gets interpreted, and what happens? Okay, each and every line has to go through read, interpret, and execute. Okay, then the output is going to be what? Smooth, and output is going to be smooth always. Okay, then what is the job of interpretation here? Because of this interpretation job, Java is what? Platform independent programming language. If there is, if the programming language has no concept of the compiler, okay, what happens if there is no concept of the compiler? All the errors has to be addressed in the interpreter only. Majority of the errors has to be addressed here only. It is like the performance will be completely down. It is just like what? The performance is going to be what? Completely down. Here the job is, it is just like this, guys. See, let me give you the real-time analogy. So you know that during election times, okay, you have your PM, okay, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Okay, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. What Prime Minister Narendra Modi does during the election time? Okay, he has to address the public gathering. He visits each and every state. Let us say that he is visiting South India, Andhra Pradesh, right? So before visiting, he have some cabinet members, okay, some major of the cabinet member, or else an IAS officer. Okay, this IAS officer is going to do what? Is going to present him a speech that is going to get connected emotionally with the Andhra people. Okay, he knows what things needs to be discussed, what things, what are the sensitive things and what are the non-sensitive things. He'll prepare a speech according to Telugu people, and is going to translate it, and it is going to give it to the Prime Minister. Okay, or else I can also say that Prime Minister is going to prepare a speech in Hindi language. He will give it to the what we call it as the IAS officer who resides in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, this IAS officer will check each and every line of code. Will check the complete page, complete speech. There are any correction, he will correct, or else he will recommend, or he will suggest to do something. Okay, so what is really happening? Speech has been written in Hindi. It is given to the IAS officer. Okay, he will check for the corrections. Okay, and do what? The Prime Minister is going to present the speech, address the gathering in the Andhra Pradesh state. Sometimes what happens? Okay, this concept is called as what? This concept is called as what? Compilation. Each and everything will be checked. Each and every line of code will be checked. Complete speech will be checked for correction, and then it will be given to the Prime Minister, so that the Prime Minister will deliver the speech smoothly without having any trouble. Because emotions are very important, right? Okay. There is another case. What is another case? So this concept is called as what? Compilation. Complete checking. Compilation means complete checking. Another concept is interpretation. What does interpretation means? During the live, in the live interaction, okay, Prime Minister said hello in English, okay, and the translator, there will be a translator, what you would say? Andariki namaskaram, something. Prime Minister says what he says, thank you, like dhanyavadalu, direct translation. The Prime Minister says how are you, okay, and the translator would address ela undaru, okay, line by line. Okay, line by line translation will happen. That line by line translation is called as what? The interpretation. In the real time, line by line translation is called interpretation. Okay, what is a compilation? The complete checking is called as what? Compilation. Same thing is happening in Java programming language. Okay, first the compiler will come into the picture. It will check for all the errors. Okay, if there are no errors, okay, it will be compiled, and the native code gets generated. Then what? The dot class file will be sent to the JVM. JVM is going to produce a native code. From the native code, and again each and every line will be has to go through what? Read, interpret, and execute, so that the output is going to be smooth always. So every errors, majority of the errors will be addressed by the compiler. Okay, that's why Java programming language is called as what? Compiled and interpreted programming language. Because of this compiled and interpretation, the output of the Java programming language is going to be smooth always. Compiled, interpreted. What is the actual question? Interview would ask you whether Java is the compiled or interpreted programming. You should say Java is both compiled and interpreted programming language. Java is both compiled and interpreted programming language. Because of the compilation and interpretation, the output is going to be smooth always. Yes or no? The output will definitely be smooth. Okay, they will confuse you. Java is compiled or interpreted. Okay, Java is both compiled and interpreted. Right? You should say compiler will take care of syntactical errors. Interpreter will do what? Will execute the output. Will execute the native code to generate the output. So the Java is both compiled and interpreted. So this is the typical analogy. Not this one. Where is it? This is the analogy. Just type yes in the chat box if you have understood so far. Yes, no. Are we good? What is 1 plus 0? What is 1 plus 0, guys? 1 plus 0 is 1 itself. Huh? Good. Everyone are active here. Okay, okay. I'm just checking if we are on the same page. Okay. In future, I will ask you questions. Huh? So we have successfully completed. So let us give us a big round of applause. We have successfully completed Java buzzwords. Okay. Just remember, what are the Java buzzwords? Java buzzwords is just like Java future. Okay. There are 12 buzzwords. Okay, let me give you the small hint. Simple. Why Java is simple? It is there are no pointers. No pointers. Okay. No operator overloading concept. Just keep these keywords in mind. Why it is platform independent? Vora. Write once and run anywhere. Remember this Vora. Right? Why it is architecture neutral? Vora. Okay. Write once and run it. But what is architecture? The combination of hardware and software. Combination of hardware and software, first of all, if you give any enhancement to your architecture, system architecture, Java program will not affect. Okay. Platform independent talks about the dot class file. Architecture neutral talks about what? Dot Java as well as dot class file. Portable is also called as Vora, but portable talks about what? Dot Java file. I have said you know porting the mobile number. Okay. Why Java is secure? Why Java is secure? There is a called bytecode verifier. You remember? Just remember this. There is a concept called bytecode verifier. Because of this bytecode verifier, Java is secure. These are the keywords I am giving. Okay. Why is it is high in performance? Because of hotspot JVM. Because of what? Hotspot JVM. Is there any difficulties to remember this? Why it is object oriented? Because everything is object. Everything is object. Right? Why it is robots? Because it has good exceptional handling features. And what else we have? It has good exceptional handling features. It has good garbage collector mechanism. So failing the Java program language is very difficult in the runtime. That's why it is robust. Why it is compiled and interpreted? So we have just discussed it. Why it is distributed? Because it can be distributed to multiple applications. Why it is dynamic? Because dot class files will be loaded on demand. Will be loaded on demand. Why it is multi-threaded? Because you can perform multitasking. Very easy, no? So from this you can expect 2 interview questions. Okay? Even for the pressure level as far as the experience level. We have successfully completed the first section. Now we will jump into the actual Java program. Okay? The next topic is we directly need to jump into the program. Focus here, guys. Your attention is highly appreciated. What is it? Java naming conventions. Okay, let me take the new paint screen. I think today is class 15. Please. Let me take a piece of Java code. Okay, I have already written a code for you. Now focus here. Don't worry about this code. You will understand how the Java code is designed line by line. Okay, what are the things that you need to take care while writing the Java code? The first thing that you need to take care is what? The Java naming conventions. It's very important. It's very important for the project level also. The project level, these things are very important. How do you name the Java class? How do you name the Java variables? How do you name the Java methods? You need to follow a pattern. You need to follow some set of rules and regulations. Okay? To understand this, I am going to take a small Java program. I hope my program is visible. Right? Now I am going to divide this program into what? Into many sessions, many sections. Okay, so this is my simple code. If you observe this first line, first line of my program, okay, so there are sequence of characters, my first Java program, and before that, it is preceded with the two forward slashes. Okay, I can call this as what? I can call this as a section called the comment section. Comment section. Why it is called as comment section? Okay, so really this compiler will not worry about these comments. Okay, it will just ignore this comment. For example, when you are starting the compilation, compiler will start checking from line by line. Okay, the moment it sees the double forward slashes, okay, it is going to ignore this. These things will not be compiled. It will be completely ignored. Then other instructions will be checked line by line. Okay, the commands are just for the developer's reference. It is not going to make any changes. It is not going to make any manipulations in the program. It has no impact with the program. Comment sections has zero impact with the program. It is just for the developers, for the developers perspective, the comment sections are there in Java programming language. If you're writing a piece of code, you want to give some description to that piece of code, you use comments. So these comments will not impact your program, will be ignored by the compiler. The first section is what? Comment section. Again, we will see each and everything in detail. Okay. Second section, okay. Anything that is coming with the package, the keyword package. Keyword package. You see, right? Package is a keyword followed by some developer, something is there. Okay, that section is called as what? The package section. What is it? The package section. Okay, now focus here. Anything that is coming, that is starting with the import keyword, then you can call it as what? The import section. Okay, then anything class. Okay, you see a class. Class is what? Class is a blueprint, right? And there are so this is the class opening, and this is what? This is the class opening, isn't it? This is class closing, right? A block inside this block some instructions are there, right? This block is addressed with an a keyword called class keyword. Okay, class keyword is there, followed by one name is there, user defined name is there. Okay, so this is called as what? The class section. And the next part is, okay, and you see this is also a class, and again inside this, okay, this is also a class, and inside this there is a method called main method. Okay, so main method is, always remember, this is the signature of the main method. Now just try to by heart this: public static void main and string array aux. String array aux. This is the signature of the main method. For now, just imagine that the execution will start from the main method. Without this main method, you cannot write the Java program. So wherever you are placing the main method, if you are placing this main method in any other class, in any Java class, that class will become the main class. Okay, so this main method is just like doing the main things, important things. What are they? They are just going to, the Java is going to execute all the instructions that are inside the main method. Control will directly come to the main method and it will execute the instructions that are placed inside the main method. Then you can do the transfer, you can transfer this control anywhere. This is the signature, remember, public static void main. Wherever you are seeing this public static void main within a class, that class is going to become what? The main class or the main class section. Main class section. Why this is main class section? Because inside this class you have the main method. Inside this test class you have the main method. That's why it has become the main class. Why this is not the main class? Because there is no main method here. Okay, wherever there is a main method, and if you find a class inside that main method, that class becomes the main class. Why this is not the main class? Because no main method here, right? So how many sections are there here? How many sections are there in a class? First one is a comment section, followed by a package section. So this is the hierarchy. This is how you should write the Java program. This is how you should write. One must write the Java program. Comment section followed by package section, import section. Then you need to write class section. Then if you want, you can write, I mean, you also have to write the main class section. Okay. So having said this, having said that, I just want to introduce what I want. I also want to introduce something about what? The class identifiers. Let us begin with class. Okay. We will start with the class identifiers. Right. So what does it mean to be a class identifier? Identifier. A class identifier. So there is a rule, guys. For example, if you want to design a class, let us say that I have a class. Okay. So class, and I should have a block. Class is a keyword, which means you are trying to create a blueprint. Okay, all the properties and behaviors will be encapsulated inside the class. We have seen these things in the previous session. But you want to name the class. Class is the Java understanding keyword. When I say class, you should name something to the class. For example, if I want to name a class as student information class, or let us say the name of the class is student. Okay, the name that you are using for a class, should always starts with the uppercase letter. Rule number 1, first rule. Okay, the class name should always starts with uppercase letter. Okay, sir, what if there are two words? What if there are two words in a class? What if there are sequential words? How I can name that? Subsequent words. For example, if I want to name my class as student information system, if I want to name this as the class name, how I am supposed to name this? Okay, these subsequent words must also start with what? The uppercase letter. What do I mean? If I have to name my class as student information system, I should name, like, what is the first word? Student. The first letter of the first word should always starts with uppercase. Okay, and there should not be any spaces or any punctuations between the subsequent word. You're able to follow? There should not be any space between two words. Okay, what is the next word? Information. Subsequent word is what? Information. The first letter of the information should start with uppercase letter. Information. What is the subsequent word? System. There is a space. You should trim the space and you should start doing what? You should start changing the first letter to what? The uppercase. This is the perfect class name. This is how the class can be named. This is called as class level naming convention. Student information system. You're able to follow, right? Student information system. Okay. This kind of what we call it as identifying the class. This kind of conversions is called as what? Pascal case naming conventions. What does it mean? Let me remove this. If you get locked out of this meeting room, please rejoin. Please be informed that you ever had to name the class with more than one word, subsequent words, the first letter of the subsequent words should start with uppercase letter, and there should not be any spaces or punctuations. This is the spelling of punctuation. Punctuations between the words. This is a rule number 2. The class name should always start with uppercase letter. Okay, there should not be any punctuations or any spaces, and the subsequent words, the first letter of the subsequent word should also start with the capital letter. So this is called as what? This is called as Pascal case naming conventions. Pascal case naming convention. Okay. Now you tell me which one are valid, which one are invalid. Okay, I'm taking a class. Name of the class is what? Employee class. Okay. Is this valid or invalid? Type in the chat box. First one, valid or invalid? Come on, everyone, valid or invalid? Not valid, not valid. What about others? Only 2% are typing. Come on, guys. Okay. See, it is valid only. I will tell you why. So this is valid only, but you should also remember the third rule. What the third rule? Third rule says the compiler will not throw any error. The compiler is not going to throw any error. Okay, this is something note. Okay, please remember this. Okay, note. Okay, it is valid, but it is not recommended. But it is not highly recommended. Highly recommended. Compiler will not throw any errors. It's also valid, but it's not highly recommended. The rule book says always follow the pattern like start the first letter with the uppercase letter. That is a rule book says. Java rule says. Okay. At the same time, if you use the lowercase letter, it doesn't mean that the compiler will throw any error. Okay. It is still valid, but it is not recommended. It's just like if you own a bike, okay, or if you own a car, you can drive the car in the the actual direction, or you can also drive the car in the wrong direction. Driving is always possible, but driving the car in the wrong direction is not recommended, right? Likewise, this is also valid but not recommended, not at all recommended. Okay, now you tell me second one, class student management system. This is valid or not valid? Think and say, valid or invalid this one? Not valid. Exactly. Why it is not valid? What I have just said. What I have just said. There should not be any spaces. We should trim the spaces. Okay. Now this is valid. Student management system. This is valid. There should not be any spaces. There should not be any punctuations. Right. So this is called as what? Pascal naming convention. Yeah, thank you for rejoining. I hope my screen is visible. Please confirm soon. Can someone? My screen is visible? Yes, no? Okay. So this is called as Pascal naming convention. Okay. Now also keep in mind when you are naming a class, okay, when you are naming a class, always use the nouns or pronouns. For example, it is recommended, and again it is not compulsory. You can name the class like employer. Employer is the noun. Employer is what? English. I mean, if you take English, okay, employer is the complete noun, right? But it's not recommended to name the class as something like what we call it as employed. Employed is a verb, right? Don't go into deep. So when you want to name a class, just try to keep in mind that name the class with the noun. Okay, don't use verbs or don't use adjectives. Okay, adjectives are like what? Adverbs like class name of the class is beautifully. Not recommended. Not recommended. Beautifully or something like the name of the class is what? Admiring. Okay? Only nouns are allowed. Are you able to follow? 3 rules, very simple. Don't take much stress. Rule number 1 is what? Always ensure that it is starts with uppercase letter. First rule. Okay? Rule number 2 is what? Student information stuff. If there are more than one word, subsequent word should starts with the first letter of the subsequent word should starts with the capital letter, uppercase letter. Okay, this is following what? Pascal case naming convention. Okay, make sure that there are no spaces. Keep this in mind. There should not be any spaces or any punctuations between the words. And also, it is recommended to use noun. It is highly recommended to use noun. This is how the you can name the class. Able to follow. So you know now you got expert to how to name the class, and this name can be anything. You can name anything, but it should be a meaningful name. Right? Second thing. Okay, you know how to name the class. Okay, now let us know how to name the variable. These are the variables. Variables are nothing but if you are assigning any data to a name is called as what? Variable. Any data to a name, any data. Right? Balaji is a data. You're assigning this Balaji to a name, user defined name, student name. Okay, it becomes what? Variable. How? What kind of rules are applied for the variable? What kind of naming conventions are applied for the variable identifier? Okay, now let us discuss that. Variable identifier. Okay, when you have a variable name like for example, let us say like student, my name is Balaji, right? Balaji is the value. Balaji is the value. I want to assign this value to a user defined variable name. Okay, how I can keep this variable name? I mean, how I can keep this, ensure that this value is very much meaningful? I need to keep an identifier. Okay, so student name is a very good identifier, right? If anyone is looking at this, oh, this value, this data is talking about the name of the student, right? So this data is what? Sequence of characters. So sequence of characters can be stored by using what? String data type. Okay, this is the perfect variable. And if you look at the variable name, okay, this is talking about the data type dt, I mean data, right? And this is talking about what? This is talking about the identifier or variable name. Variable name. Okay. This is talking about what? This is talking about the value that is representing a sequence of characters. Right? Now, how do you name this variable name? What is a naming convention that you can? In this case, for to name the variable, the first letter should always starts with the lowercase. And the consequent, what we call it as the subsequent words, the first letter of the subsequent words start with capital letter. Student name. First letter should always be small. Okay, and the subsequent, the first letter of the subsequent word should start with capital letters. Okay, and there should not be any spaces, there should not be any punctuations. There should not be any spaces and there should not be any punctuations. Right? This kind of naming convention is called as what? The camel case naming convention. You call it as what? The camel case naming convention. What is the camel case naming convention? Okay, the first letter should always start with the lower case, followed the subsequent words. The first letter of the subsequent word should start with what? The uppercase. Right? This is following what? This is following the camel case convention. Are able to follow? If you want to if you want to name any variable, for example, let us say that if you're doing a graduation and if the fees is 60,000 per year, so this is the value. Okay, so you want to represent that this is value is representing a kind of data, a meaningful data. Okay, you will use the assignment operator and you would say graduation fees is a meaningful name. How I am supposed to write, how I am supposed to keep the variable identifier as per the rules? Graduation fees. Okay, the first letter should be small, and the subsequent word, the first letter of the subsequent word should start with the capital letters, uppercase letter. This is the perfect variable name. Okay, which is following what? Camel case naming convention. Okay, what is it representing? Which data it is representing? Integer, int. Okay, we will discuss about what is int in detail. Okay, for now, this is how you can ensure that the variable is identified. The naming convention. This is how you will ensure that naming conventions are satisfied. Okay, now you tell me. Okay, just tell me if it is valid or invalid. Okay, string. I am using two words. Employee name equal to Monica. Is it valid or invalid? Is it valid or invalid? Come on. Okay. Now let me tell you something. Let me give you a small takeaway. Okay. Compiler will not throw any error. Okay. Compiler will not throw any error, but it is not recommended. It is valid, but it is not recommended. It is valid. Don't get confused. It is valid, but it is not recommended. It's not recommended. I was saying the same thing to the classes. When it becomes invalid means the moment you give any spaces. For example, okay, employee space, and if you put name and if you identify Monica, if you assign the value Monica here, right, now this becomes invalid. There should not be any spaces. There should not be any space. Spaces needs to be trimmed. If you want to follow the rules, you should strictly follow camel case convention. For variables, camel case naming convention. Okay, if you following any other convention, that is okay, still valid but not recommended. Are able to follow? Okay, for classes, Pascal case. Just remember this. For classes, follow Pascal case. Okay, for variables, follow camel case. Okay, so in the both cases, the spaces and punctuations are not allowed. Okay, the major rule is spaces and punctuations are not allowed. Okay, and if you are just violating this rule, if you are just violating the Pascal case, that is okay, but don't use spaces and what we call as punctuations. Okay, if you use space and punctuation, compiler will not be happy. But if you are not following this also, compiler will execute, but not recommended. That's what I'm saying. Right? Just identify for classes, Pascal case, for variables, camel case. Right? And also, if you see something here, okay, I have specifically taken a variable name called string country name India. Focus here. String country name India. You see this, okay? Everything is in capital letter, everything is in uppercase, and also it is separated by an underscore. Why it is like this? Okay, if you want to do this, okay, these are called as what? The constant identifiers. These are called as what? The constant identifier. Constant identifier. What do you mean by constant identifier? This India cannot be changed, right? For example, if your university name is going to be common for all the colleges that is affiliated with that university. It won't change. For example, your state name is going to be common for all the citizens who are living in the state, Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. It won't change. Or Tamil Nadu, it won't change. It cannot be changed. Your Aadhaar card number, it is going to be same forever for your identity. It won't get changed. Able to follow. Right? Things like that. If you have things like that, for example, if you want to name an identifier, I have my Aadhaar card number as 1 2 3 4 5 6. My Aadhaar card number, how I can store this Aadhaar card number? Okay, Balaji underscore Aadhaar card underscore number. Okay, my Aadhaar card number is going to be constant. It will not change. If you find any constants, if you have more subsequent words, ensure that all the letters are in capital letters, uppercase letters, separated by what? Underscore. All the words are in uppercase letters, separated by underscore. This is representing a constant because the value will remain same forever. Okay, this kind of convention is called as what? This kind of convention is called as what? Screaming case convention. streaming case convention. We're able to follow, right? And let us say that, for the methods, for example, let me take a Java method, public static void. If you want to design a method, okay, in future your team leader is asking you to design a Java method, or design a simple application that is going to take 2 inputs and give the output, addition of 2 numbers. Okay, addition of the business logic has to be written on top of every Java method. Okay, what is the purpose? You want to add 2 numbers, right? To name the method that can be understood by everyone, and to what kind of naming conventions one has to follow. Okay, naming convention is very simple. The camel case naming convention, the naming convention that we are following for variable, the same naming convention. Addition, first letter start as to, first word has to start, the first letter of the first word should start with the lowercase. The second letter, addition of 2 numbers. The same naming convention that you have followed for variable will be applied for the methods also, to name the methods also. Don't worry about this, what is public static void and all. Just remember about the method. If you want to name the method and you want to follow a convention, what convention are going to follow? What convention? Camel case naming convention. Okay. For methods and for variables, camel case. For constants, screaming case. And for class, Pascal case. Right? You have to remember the underscore symbol for the constant identifiers. Okay. Why we have to follow all these cases? Okay, to improve the readability. Just to improve what? Just to improve the readability. Okay. By looking at this code, one can differentiate which one is class, which one is method, which one is variable, and which one is a constant. That readability you can achieve. Just for the readability, these conventions are there. Okay, what are the conventions for classes? Just remember Pascal case. Okay, for variables, what? Camel case. For methods, and again camel case. And for constant variables, constant means things that are not going to get changed. Okay, it is going to remain the same forever. Okay, screaming case. Okay, so these are the cases that you can use for Java identifiers. What are the other cases? Is there any other case apart from this? Yes, you have something like snake case, which you don't use, but I will just give you the. Okay, for example, if you have something like show underscore my underscore marks. Okay, everything is in lowercase. Each and every word is in lowercase, followed by an underscore. Okay. This is called as what? Snake case. You don't use this in Java, just for your idea I'm getting. There is also a case called kebab case. Okay. Total, you use hyphen. Total students marks. Okay, you just use hyphens for the variable. This is called as what? Kebab case. Don't worry about these 2 cases. Okay, just remember this. Remember these cases. The class, for the class Pascal, for the variables camel, for the method camel, for the constant variables, you have the screaming cases. Right? So this is all about how you how you do that. And one more thing, guys. One more thing. Always remember, for the classes, try to use the nouns. Okay. For the classes, for example, you want to name any class. Class, I can name it as class student. Always noun. Prefer noun. To name for methods. Okay. If you want to write any method, prefer verb. Okay. Prefer verb for method. For example, public static void. Okay, for verb, like you have the add, addition, not addition, you can use add, or you can use sub. Okay, and you can use something like a kind of verb thing. Okay, and action items things. Okay, you can also use eat. Right, You can also use thing, a meaningful verb name. That is recommended, and again, it's up to you. Okay. For the class should be noun, and for the methods, the name should be what? Name should be what? The verb, the action kind of things. Add. Add is a verb. A simple example. Okay. Now, why I'm telling you all this in the real-time application, if you are going as an experienced candidate, you should know how to name the classes, you should know how to name the variables, you should know how to name the methods. Okay. Only experienced persons can recognize whether you are an experienced or not. Okay, you should not give an into them that you are not an experienced candidate, right? So that's all from my side today. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Do you have any doubts? Are we good? Tomorrow we'll discuss, we'll get into deeply about the program, right? Then thank you so much for your time.